Hello and welcome back to the Arclight podcast. This is going to be episode 6. My name is Camryn and I'm joined with Erik,
Hey.
Pat,
So,
and Jimbob.
Hello, hello.
And then today is a more of a news-heavy-ish episode than the last couple weeks. And then, of course, we're rotating in some of our more generic topics. The big one this week being a Final Fantasy XIV free trial period retrospect with me, Pat, and Erik at the end. So that's at the end for people that want to hear it and for people who don't want to hear it. So
There will be spoilers, so if you
Yeah.
are ever interested in trying out 14, don't.
yeah, for the main story of
Listen.
Realm Reborn and Heavensward, at least up to where the post game begins for that.
Yeah, so we'll hit you again with a warning that we're about to get back into that.
Yeah. But as always, we're going to roll into some more casual check-ins, and I'm going to throw it to Jimbob this time. Never let him know your next move.
I haven't really been doing much this week.
All right, thank you very much.
No problem.
No, but seriously.
No, I'm being serious. I
Oh,
haven't really
I
been
see.
doing much this week.
All right, well, who has been doing something?
What have you been doing?
Oh, well, I was going to spend my moment to talk about some other things, but okay. I was just going to mention, us three went and saw Thor, Love and Thunder.
Yeah,
Um,
we saw a movie
Yep, it was
that happened to be named Thor.
it was certainly a movie.
I'm a shitty Marvel movie enjoyer, so
It was not good. If you like Ragnarok, you're gonna love this one. So, but as someone who did not like Ragnarok, I did not like this one. And as always, they underutilized the villain, and of course they wasted Christian Bale then. But Gore, in my opinion, was the best part of the movie. So,
Agreed. He carried that movie, and he was barely in it.
yep, barely in it, and he still carried it. So, it's also really quick. I felt like we sat down and then got up and left.
Yeah.
So that I am thankful for. Some other things that that recently finished that I think we might want to touch up on. Jimbob hasn't finished it yet. Pat just started it. I don't think Erik has seen it at all.
No.
The Boys ended yesterday, as of recording this.
Like, ended?
Well,
Or
it's season 3.
Oh, okay.
And I think they've confirmed they're coming back for season 4. And I said it yesterday when I saw the guys when we were hanging out last night. I think The Boys might be one of the best television shows over the last 4 years. Consistently good. So, check out that if you haven't seen it. Really great villain. So I've just been kind of catching up on stuff like that.
That show is literally just the phrase, never let them know your next move.
Yeah, facts.
truly.
It's also like, it's just good. Turns the whole superhero genre upside down. Especially when you like watch something shit like Thor, and then you watch The Boys, and you're like, this is what the genre should be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I've been doing, just watching TV and almost finished Castlevania. So, it's pretty
Like,
exciting.
you're just now getting around to finishing Castlevania?
Yeah. I took a week off of watching it, and then now I'm like, cause there's like a good chunk of season 3 that I think is kind of boring.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So then once the plot kicked back into gear for season 3, I really got back into it, and now I'm just getting into season 4. So yeah, and I'm and of course, as things go, Pat called it a new character that I'm building for a D&D game coming up is immediately based off Alucard, so you know how it is. But it's pretty sick. What about you, Erik?
Me?
Me? Gungaga.
I was
Me?
literally thinking about
Yeah,
saying that.
Me? Gungaga.
Gongaga.
Gungaga.
This week's been not super slow for me. Basically, as I touched up on last weekend, where I was talking about modding my PS2 so I could run some games online, and also just some games that are really hard to get a hold of, and also games that are English translated by fans but never had an official English release. My stuff never came in to do that the past weekend when we recorded this, so I just got it in on Tuesday. So my week was actually just after work getting a lot of that stuff up and running. It was a fun experience. My PS2 now can run .hack fragment online in full English, which is pretty cool. I've tested it out a couple times. It's really neat that it's actually able to run, and interesting that there was a full-fledged like MMO like that on PS2. I mean, granted, Final Fantasy XI was also on PS2, but Yeah, I feel like this game's almost a little bit more comprehensive to understand and play, because Final Fantasy XI, for anyone who's ever played it, is a mess.
It's so weird to me because like when I had the PS2, I didn't even think about playing online games. Like I never even thought about that. And then like I would hear people talking about having like internet adapters, and I'm like, what?
So, Cameron, do you still have your PS2?
No, no. I
Okay,
think
I
it's
saw
long gone.
I still have mine.
I was about to say, this is actually a fairly simple process, and if you have a slim PS2, I don't even have to buy the memory card. I can just turn one of the memory cards into the memory card that does
the
the
only
thing.
older, quote unquote, older console I own physically still
Mhm.
is my 360, and
Okay.
that's not even like as old as the PS2. So
Right.
I traded in my PS2 and all my PS2 games when I got my 360.
Okay.
So
And that was forever ago.
Sheesh.
and I got a bunch of money because I had
Yeah.
like I easily had a collection of PS2 games that was like 100 plus games.
Yeah.
So
I think everyone did. It was just such
and it was like dumb shit, like games like like I mean like you would walk into GameStop. That game is like $5, yoink, you know. And then like all the game, like none of the games have art because it's the GameStop like
Oh, yeah.
pre-owned copies.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. I mean, if I did have one, I would check it out, but you know.
I'm about to say, it's not hard to get a hold of. If I can get a hold of another one, especially preferably a slim, so that way I can just make these memory cards and I don't have to buy them separately. I can get people hooked up on that. It's not hard. But no, yeah, outside of finally getting that up and running, which was a cool project, I'm really enjoying my time with this. I also had a good old childhood video game IP get resurrected yesterday. The Klonoa Fantasy Reverie series collection came out yesterday, which has Klonoa Door to Phantom Isle and Klonoa 2 Lunatea's Veil. Both those games are fantastic. Klonoa 1's very, very, very short. I literally got home, played it for like 2 hours, and I'm already about halfway through it, so I stopped myself instead of just
Sheesh.
playing through it. Well, it was a PS1 like 2.5D platformer. There wasn't a lot going on there. It does spike in difficulty near the ending, though. But the second one is like the reason I love Klonoa as a character in general, just because the second one has so much going for it outside just the regular 2D platforming. There's a lot of like mini games and stuff during the story mode and stuff you have to go through. Really, really good game series. Bandai Namco has stated that they do intend to, if this one does like this revival collection, which is only $40 by the way for both games, does well, they are looking to finally make Klonoa 3, which would be dope.
What about Dot Hack, Bandai?
I think that's still
Mhm.
there. Don't get me wrong. I think it's still
Mhm.
there.
It
But
doesn't exist.
But I think the fact they're willing to bring back a dead IP from years ago, that they already tried to revive once on the Wii, by the way, and it didn't do well, to try and bring him back again. I think they're really willing to try to touch up on some of these like old cult classic favorite characters at this point. But yeah, so if you like platformers by any means, Klonoa is a good one. Pick it up. It's cheap. You get 2 games for the price of less than 1 these days. And they actually did a very great job graphically updating these games. They on the PS5 version, they look clean.
You know what else is $40?
Hmm.
DNF Duel.
Actually, it's 50.
Is
You're
it?
close. It's 50, yeah. But yes, no, we've also been playing DNF Duel a little bit here and there. We actually played some before we recorded today, and once again, DNF Duel is really, really good.
And apparently, it's not selling well in Japan. I just found that out today from you and Zach.
Yeah, it's just so far we only have the PlayStation information on
Yeah.
sales though, which granted, once again, PlayStation just hasn't been doing as well as it used to in Japan, anyways, just because everybody wants a Switch or they have a PC.
Yeah, you know it's selling really well in Japan.
Hmm.
The Xbox.
Oh, better than it used to,
Well,
but not like
It's still selling
crazy.
pretty well. And you know why? You know what it is? Because the other one's able to buy all the chips.
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
That's-
no, I think
I could literally buy a Series X last night on Best Buy.
Yep.
I went on there at like 1 a.m. just because I was looking for just like tablets and stuff if I wanted to get one.
Mhm.
And they were like in stock. And it was the Xbox Series X. And I could go pick it up in Dover.
Yep.
I was like,
That's funny because like 6 months ago it was just
nothing.
a barren wasteland.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, no, I think
Look it up.
yeah, if you want a next gen console right now, it's time to look because the X and the S are definitely like readily available. PlayStation 5 not so much still, but I am seeing them pop up more frequently.
and the S is a good, like middle of the road price point too.
Yeah,
So
for sure, and you still get a next gen console.
Yeah,
it's not
it's-
doing like per se 4K, but fairly close. And you're still getting 60
Game
frames on
Pass
pretty much all
machine.
your games. So.
Yeah, it's a perfect Game Pass machine.
And if you know what you're doing, it's also a pretty good emulation machine.
Yep.
They can emulate pretty much anything at this point.
Yep.
But yeah, no. So I think, yeah, just to wrap up my little what I've been doing this past week, modding old consoles is really cool. If you have an old console lying around and nothing to do with it, especially if the disk drive is broken, look into modding a console.
What about body modding?
Oh, I want to do that eventually too. Actually, I think you're thinking like actual physical body modding. But
Yeah, I'm
like,
talking about
I was talking,
physical
like,
body modding.
I was thinking you meant like a case mod for like your console or something.
I was like, can I get some piercings there?
Maybe not piercings, but tattoos eventually, probably. Eventually,
Get a tattoo of Jimbob?
I might.
Get a tattoo of Jimbob the game.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jimbob the game.
Jimbob the game.
What's on the cover of the Jimbob game?
Yeah, what's the cover?
It's just me naked,
What?
full frontal.
I'll be buying the
So it's an
collector's
adults
edition.
only rated game.
No.
Oh.
Rated E for everyone.
What?
Okay, E10 plus
Game-
can have some
game-
kind of sensory.
Game Pass World Premiere.
$70.
Jeez. It's $70. It's also launching on Game Pass.
Oh yeah.
Please buy Klonoa. Okay, Pat, what are you doing this week?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Are
I'm
you gonna buy Klonoa?
probably not.
Rip.
Other than finishing the Heavensward expansion, I haven't really done a whole lot of gaming. I've been like all over the place trying to find a game to play through for like my back catalog. I just cannot get into anything, so I'm just still on the hunt for something.
You know what that sounds
That
like?
like catches your attention.
You know what that
Yeah.
sounds like to me? Might be time for a break.
I don't know. Well, I mean, I kind of been taking a break because I've been watching more like TV and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just so like basically since COVID started was like back in 2020, I had started keeping track of my games, and since 2020, I've beaten like 80 games.
Nice.
How many this year?
Not
Not as much as last year.
like 17 this year.
And this time last year, you were at like.
This time last year, I was like 24,
Yeah.
25. I beat 40 games last year, and I beat 30 the year before. So I might just be burnt out and can't get anything, but I don't know.
You know what's a good way to boost those numbers? Technically, the GU collection is 4 games.
That's true, that's
We've been
true.
counting the Realm Reborn as a game, and then we counted Heavensward as a game last
Yeah,
night.
I mean,
Well,
they're
technically,
basically
you
games.
still have more Heavensward to play. Technically,
Yeah, but we're
Yeah.
I'm ready.
I count the post game as like part of the expansion still. So
Like the only real game
I'll
I'm
have to
playing
adjust
through-
my rating because I put a rating on it already, so I'll have to adjust my rating after the post game. But
yeah,
The only game I'm actually like playing through is Resident Evil 2 Remake with you, Camryn. That's
it's
about
true.
it. Other than that, it's just like I load up a game to try it out. Excuse me. And I'm like, this is cool, but I just can't. I don't see myself finishing it.
Well, Pat, do you want to talk about a game you most recently re-downloaded?
I guess we could talk about that. So those of my friends know that like behind the scenes, I used to be a really big into this mobile game called FFXIV, and I deleted it because I spent like way too much money on it,
Gotcha.
and it was like, and it literally gotcha, and
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is not healthy for me, so I'm gonna delete it. And then like a year and a half later, I was like, I'll try it out. I'll load it back up, but I'm not gonna spend any money. I made a vow to myself not to spend any money, and it's like so much easier to like get stuff, and I don't really need to spend any money on it.
And you've restarted.
I
Right.
completely restarted, deleted my old account just to completely wipe that slate, and that's I guess that's what I've been doing right now, is just playing FFXIV.
As someone who was there when he re-downloaded it, I will say I also because I played it back when he played it too, and it was a lot of fun. I genuinely
played
enjoyed
it.
the story of FFXIV. It's got a good story behind it.
I think it's like unironically like one of the best like mobile JRPG games out.
It's got the production, it's got voice acting, it's got an actual good story, and the characters are kind of dope.
Yeah.
I think just in general, it's a good story. But I also have re-downloaded just to fiddle around with it a little bit as well. I also started a new account, and I will agree with Pat. It's a lot easier now. They've definitely made some changes.
For sure.
FFXIV sponsor us.
Does the story of FFXIV
Mm-hmm.
stand up to the story of Jimbob the game?
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Understandable. So you guys have already moved off of Diablo Immortal for your mobile game?
Yeah, I still have it downloaded, but I haven't
Oh,
Got him.
I deleted it as we were like recording last week when you brought it up.
Yeah, I haven't touched that in forever.
Dog.
Fucking Immortal.
Do you guys remember that Blizzard conference?
Y'all got phones?
Man.
Is this some kind of out of date
April.
or no, sorry, off season
Yeah.
April Fool's joke?
Yeah. The guy was like, no. And I was like, how can you be so out of touch? And it's also the same time when they were like, yeah, we're taking HOTS to maintenance mode, which they just said again. They recently just came out again. They were like, they're completely there's no more new updates coming out. If there is a new update at all, like for balancing, it's only because it's in desperate need to. But it's on full like StarCraft 2 life support mode.
That sucks because it's
Yeah.
actually a pretty fun
Yeah.
game. I almost wonder though if they're just gonna shelf it for a little bit and then like we've been suggesting, it's one of those moments that like if there ever was
It's
a
ripe
MOBA,
for a port.
yeah, if there was ever a MOBA to put on console, this is the one.
Yeah.
It plays like it should be on console.
Yeah.
It should
And
be
it's
there.
casual too. It's not.
I could
it
see
doesn't-
Xbox
yeah.
porting it
It
eventually.
doesn't nearly
There's
have.
no
as-
item buying.
Yeah,
There's
it doesn't have the
it's so streamlined.
intensity. Like you, like it's. I feel like getting into a game like League now, like most people who game probably know what League is,
Mm-hmm.
and it's daunting really. Like when you log into League, not to mention just the community expectations that get placed on you to play immediately.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there's like a lot of systems there. Like if you don't know how to play a MOBA, and then HOTS is like so more lax, and it's like perfect for a casual.
There's a
base.
lot more
like,
bulage. Like I
like
can just play.
like a casual console, like the casual console MOBA. There is a market there,
Yeah.
and because Smite is in there,
Yeah.
Paragon
Paragon used to be
used to
there.
be in there. So people are down for Arena of Valor, you know.
For how long that lasted
Yeah.
on Switch.
So I mean, it's there, and HOTS would fit that perfectly. But
Yeah, I think it's just like HOTS really just is super casual. Like I can go and bull as like Murky,
Yeah.
one of the worst characters
Yeah.
in the game, and just have a
and
good
still
time.
have a good time, and it's not like a detriment, really.
Yeah, like I'm actually good at
It's-
Murky. Is the funny part.
Yeah,
about
because
it.
of the way the game is. Like, I mean, sure, if someone is feeding, they're feeding, but at the same time, it's also like HOTS is very much like an arena kind of thing too. Like, if you have one person feeding, you can have someone else on your team who's an absolute god at the game, and they're gonna win you the game.
Yeah.
You know?
Not to mention, like, it's only going to be, like,
Not the-
maybe
the
max
map-
20 minutes.
And then also the map objectives too also change. You could
They're
be
fun. Yeah.
you could have a really good team, but if they're not playing objective as a team, they're not gonna win.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, HOTS. We stand for HOTS on this podcast.
Yeah. I will say though, in defense of League, the deal they signed with Xbox recently is super dope. I will be hooking up my Xbox account to my Riot
Yeah,
account,
me
however that's
too.
gonna work when that comes out, and just so I can have all the characters. That's sick.
Like when Wilder drops on either one of these consoles, PS5 or
Oh,
Xbox,
that's right, and we'll have all the characters on Wild Rift
I'm
too.
pulling up
It's probably gonna be Xbox first
Yeah,
with this deal that
I'm-
we just got.
Xbox first, more like maybe Xbox only.
Yeah, especially if that's
You
the
know
only way
what
I
I
can
mean?
link the account.
You know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So, anyway, I think that's it for our check-ins.
Yeah, that's
so
it. I
let's,
think we kind of.
move into. I'll take this one here because I was a big sayer. They proved me wrong. They finally announced the God of War release date for this year.
By the way, this is the news flash.
Yeah.
Got
They finally released God of War is coming out this year, November 9th. The dick pics got to them. They dropped the
They
date.
gave in.
They dropped the date and
Said
they
no more.
Yeah, they dropped the date and they also dropped a bunch of collector's item news that doesn't have the game. None of the copies have the game in it.
No, well, they don't have the physical.
Yeah,
game.
no physical game. They're selling just an empty steelbook.
Yep, with the digital
beautiful.
code.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and you know that thing is going to be pricey with the Mjolnir hammer.
That's what stinks. It's showing now because like Square Enix already kind of started a little bit where they're like, yeah, we're kind of like moving away from a lot of physical releases, and now it's like other companies are starting to do
Yeah.
it too.
So God of War Ragnarok is dropping November 9th.
Hopefully,
They proved me wrong.
Hopefully, we get a state of play for it or something.
Yeah, because all they dropped in the news was a cinematic trailer, which was still dope. I think we got our first look at Fenrir,
Yeah.
and I am down. That's going to be a nuts fight.
I That's like traditional God of War boss
Yeah.
fight right there.
There's like a couple ways they could take this though, like if you want to think about story-wise real quick, because Fenrir is like, he brings Ragnarok. So it might be almost to Kratos' advantage. I feel like he doesn't care about the Norse pantheon,
Yeah.
you know?
You don't care about any pantheon.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm interested to see what the motivation is for him to stop Ragnarok.
It might just be because of
Atreus.
yeah, just because of what they hinted at the end of God of War
Yeah.
1 with the
Spoilers. Spoilers. Full spoilers here.
Okay.
So we can get a little bit into it.
Yeah, I mean,
Atreus is Loki.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Ragnarok like leads to the end of Loki, or right? Is that,
Well,
or
Ends to the end of the Greek pantheon.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
Ragnarok
but, like-
is like
Or Greek, I said.
Greek, Norse.
Norse,
yeah,
yeah.
is the end of the Norse. Like pretty much like the Norse gods. Like the Norse myth is
right,
gone. Like
right.
Fenrir destroys them.
Yeah.
So that would include Loki, so that would technically give Kratos reason to not want that
Well,
to happen.
he's half god, half giant. So
Right.
Loki, Atreus right now isn't technically part of the pantheon. Like Loki himself, I wouldn't think Odin would be like, you are a part of the pantheon. So I don't know if
Right, but
it
you
would
would
hurt
still
him.
figure...
maybe like his god. Well, because he's only half god through Kratos,
Yeah,
who is not Norse.
true.
So-
True, I guess.
So I don't know. I'm really intrigued.
Yeah. I think that could be the only motivation, though, for Kratos to, like...
And then there's Tyr. Tyr was in the first trailer. He's still alive and kicking. First dude, the first god, I guess. To
Yeah, he's the actual
Yeah,
Norse God of War.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot of story ways we go, but we're hyped for God of War. I just want to see gameplay, even though it's probably going to be the same. I don't expect. Excuse me. I don't expect to see.
You okay
Oh
there?
my god!
You okay?
I caught some mic fuzz in my mouth.
Oh, rip.
But what's funnier is Skull and Bones, the Ubisoft pirate game
Thank you, Jimbo.
that got announced, is coming out the day before God of War,
That is a horrible decision.
which that game is going to sell about 4 copies.
Skull and Bones, more like bare bones.
About to say, what do you think's going to sell more, though? Do you think it's going to outsell Babylon's Fall? I gotta know.
Oh man.
Because Babylon's Fall did horribly as well.
I think it will.
I'm surprised Babylon's Fall hasn't just gone
Is
free
Skull
to
and
play
Bones
yet.
going to sell more copies than Thieves in Time?
Damn.
I don't even
Slander. We're going to hear about that in Discord later.
No, but Skull and Bones is it looks like
It
a
is the
game
most
that's
generic looking game I've ever seen.
You know what
in my
reminds
life.
me of the art design reminds me of that game Atlas.
Oh, yeah.
Like whenever
Yeah.
like I was watching, I was like, this looks like they saw Atlas and they were like, this looks pretty cool. And it's also very clearly a game you can tell that was rebooted like 10 times because there's like so many ideas that just don't really look like they connect. And the game's in first person question mark?
Yeah, that one's
Is it?
strange.
Yeah, when you're like steering the ship, it's in first person.
Oh.
And then when you're like you can go like fishing.
Yeah.
Well, I saw
also
a clip of
in
someone
first
playing,
person.
I saw a clip
Well,
of
the-
someone
the-
playing in third
The
person.
third person is when you're walking around the ports. And then
Well, I'm
they're
glad
like,
you can at least do that, because originally we're saying it was going to be
yeah,
nothing
and then
but
they're
boat
like,
combat.
all right, so the gameplay demo I watched is this ship pulls up and he's like, I'm gonna start raiding this port. He pulls up, he's like, all right, I'm hitting A to activate the plunder mode, and there's like a 2-second cutscene of the crew jumping off the boat into the fort, and that's it. And then he's like, all right, now I have to protect my crew, and it's like a bunch of like British Navy or whatever coming to like stop them from raiding the port. You know, generic like protect the objective.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those games that definitely looks like it's rough. I think if it's Game Pass, I might try
Yeah, that's
it.
the only way I'm checking
Yeah.
this game out.
Yeah. Outside of that, though, I can't see myself spending money on
And
it.
it just blows my mind. This is the way they're taking the concept that they started in Black Flag.
Yeah.
Like, everyone regarded Black Flag as like, I think we talked about it before. Like, this is one of the best pirate games ever. Pirate games should be like this. And they had the concept there, and they just did nothing with it, and still aren't doing anything with it. It's kind of a big no-brainer. Big question mark.
Too many like ideas that are like just not working.
They're like, the only way we make a pirate game is if we have Assassin's Creed in front of it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Skull and Bones, big pass. Jabub, comment.
More like Skull and Boners.
Thank you.
Nice.
Well, I guess an easy way to move on from that. Next here in the news flash.
Speaking of boners,
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Oh,
we got
absolutely.
the,
Absolutely.
We got new details on Crisis Core remake,
it might as well be a
Reunion?
remake.
Reunion? That's what it's called, Camryn, right?
Crisis. Well,
Crisis Core Final
Crisis-
Fantasy VII Reunion.
Crisis Core. Final Fantasy VII
Jesus.
Reunion.
Yes, a good old Japanese title for you there. Just like Capcom's old like titles for all their like long
so
games.
they came out with a bunch of new little tidbits about it here. Pretty much confirming a lot of things people wanted, or were asking about, and also wanted. So apparently, according to this interview, there's been no part of the game like hasn't been left untouched. All the assets have been replaced, new camera work, new motions. All the cutscenes have been modernized. Things have been redesigned to align with remakes, so like the Buster Sword and the summons. Even character designs also are there to mimic the remake stuff. So clearly it looks like they say here in this article that the story of Crisis Core has not been changed. They didn't want to go back and change anything.
Yeah.
And they also said this wasn't planned. It kind of like just kind of I guess came up. Like they never planned on this being a part of their big remake compilation.
But
I don't believe them.
yeah, I think we very much at
Why
the very
is-
least see
Yeah. Why now?
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, a couple other things here. Battles have been enhanced. Zack's attacks can now be connected into combos, and magic and abilities can now be selected via shortcuts, a la remake almost. For those that have played the game, some DMW cutscenes have been removed. I'm not going to get into what that means, but if you know, you know.
I do not.
Yeah, so basically, I was getting to this a little bit. So
Thank you.
the DMW is this like a slot machine mechanic in the game that's constantly going off during combat. And if you get, let's say, 3 Sephiroths line up in order, you're gonna get a buff
Mm-hmm.
based off whatever the Sephiroth buff is. And
Yeah.
you'll also probably get like a cutscene that shows a memory or a significant interaction that Zack and Sephiroth have had in his adventure that kind of makes him want to perform better, is like the in fiction reason for that showing up.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty sick, actually.
Yeah, it was. A lot of people didn't like it when it came out, but I thought it was pretty neat for what they were trying to go for. Elements of the Final Fantasy VII Remake battle system have been implemented. Like, I guess there's a mode change. If you guys have played 7 Remake, you know that Cloud has his normal mode and then Punisher mode.
Yeah.
So 2 different attack styles. Zack has that now. Scenes that were only in dialogue, like voice lines, like text, are
Yeah.
now fully voiced, and NPCs are also now fully voiced that don't have any big interactions. So that's pretty neat. While not true for all major characters, some character voices have been newly recorded. Genesis, who is voiced by Gact, was already fully voiced when the PSP version released. So, I'm assuming Gact's lines are still in the game.
Yeah, they apparently from what I overheard, it sounds like they just completely ripped his lines from the PSP and like just touched him up a bit and threw him back into this game. At least for the Japanese version. I don't know if what's gonna happen with the English version.
Yeah, so hard mode, visual adjustments, like I said, yeah, and they also came out with some stuff for Rebirth. Nothing really interesting there, so we'll just probably skip over Rebirth. But yeah, so Crisis Core,
Yeah.
I'm really excited. Oh, it's also only gonna be $40, so that's pretty exciting. 40 or $50, one of the two. It's not full price. So, definitely be checking that out. And then something else. Eric is showing something on the tablet.
Yeah, I was just telling Pat not to feel so bad about his FX7 purchases because I just recently loaded up my old account from the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius War of the Visions game, which is like the tactics mobile game. I was like, Pat, don't feel so bad. This is when I was deployed, so I had a lot of expendable money. I am like rank 92 account on this game.
God.
and I have a lot of stuff going on in this game. I have 17 million gold just chilling.
Nice.
I have a bunch of like maxed out 99 characters.
So you could say you were gaming.
Oh, I was absolutely gaming. in this
Mobilely
game.
gaming.
Mobile gaming.
Yeah,
Does have a phone.
true.
Phone included.
Speaking of,
I mobile gamed last night on D&D Beyond.
I overheard that earlier.
Yeah.
More like gotcha gamed.
speaking of a game that looks like a mobile game, Forspoken got delayed.
I think that's a little harsh on the game, but fair.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
Yeah,
mobile,
yeah.
but it definitely looks
Just-
immobile.
I just wanted to create a segue where I can meme on this game.
You could say it's immobile because it's not coming out this year.
Jimbob, laugh track.
Thank you.
That's all you get.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Do we even have a laugh track? I don't
No.
think we do. We have the
No.
clapping track. I think that's
Yeah.
about it.
All right.
It didn't deserve a clap.
Yeah, it's what about the clap?
It didn't deserve a clap.
Oh. So yeah, Forspoken looks like poop, and they're like, oh yeah, we're delaying the game for further polishing. You know, when they delayed the game last time, they said the same thing.
Right.
This game is getting delayed because God of War's coming out.
Yeah, and their investors
And
are
then
worried.
Sony's like,
Probably because they know
"Look,
they know they got a flop on their hands. So
and it's coming out next year in the same year as
Everything.
two of Square Enix's biggest games.
yeah,
The year of
Well, yours-
Well,
you're assuming
Possibly
you're
two
assuming
of the-
Rebirth is coming out next year.
yeah, possibly. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, the game has looked better the more times they show it.
This game reminds me of
But-
what's the game? The platinum game that was gonna come out for Xbox.
Oh,
Scalebound.
Scalebound.
That's what this game reminds me of. Every time I see it, I'm just like, man, this game looks boring, and it continues to look boring.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have else much to say about that. Was it
Well, I know-
January now?
Yeah, something like that. I just know it's by the 15 team. I never played Final Fantasy 15, so
I got roped into buying the deluxe edition, and it was not worth.
wasn't that Eric who upsold you on that?
Yeah,
What game?
Eric upsailed me on the Final Fantasy 15 deluxe edition. with the
Did
steel-
I?
You did. You were like, "Yo, buy this $80 edition." And I was like, at the time, I was like, "I'm pretty hyped for this game, so yeah, I will."
Oh yeah, I guess I did. Yeah. I mean, it came with the $20 Blu-ray so it's already worth it.
And it came with
for-
pretty sick steelbook, so
Yeah. that's what
Yeah, but
they
not a
say.
pretty sick game.
yeah, no,
I mean, you got those like bonus items at the beginning too for like
yeah, that's true.
the busted
You're a
blade.
Wait, are you a 15 enjoyer, Eric, or a 15?
I'm weirdly in between. There's parts of the game I really do enjoy, but then there's other parts where I'm like, man, I know why this game gets the hate it does, and I agree.
We have a friend who absolutely hates Final
Mm-hmm.
Fantasy 15. I never played it, so
Yeah.
so yeah, Forspoken. See ya. Jimbob, comment on Forspoken. Go ahead.
More like foreskin.
Oh
Thank
my-
you.
Oh my god.
Let's move on to our first topic.
With Jimbob, I've noticed we're entering very NSFW domain with the podcast. Once Jimbob got on,
Let's move on to
You never-
topic one.
you never let him do your next move. All right, well then let's move on, Jimbob. What is it?
yeah.
Read it.
Um,
Go on.
So, what makes an open world game appealing, or, in my opinion, unappealing to you? Pat, go.
Me? Oh God, I was not expecting you to go to me.
Well, perform.
I'm thinking. So for an open world game, I think what it needs to do, at least for me, is
Be about
Okay,
be
what-
about pirates that have stretchy powers.
Yep,
and,
yep. I'll tell you what it doesn't need to have. It doesn't need to have the Ubisoft kind of formula where it's like a checklist. Like I don't want to feel like I'm working when I'm playing the game
Right.
and checking
Like
boxes
the,
off and going to towers and unlocking like pieces of a map that just feel so
See,
boring.
I don't mind the watchtowers thing because look at the game like Insomniac Spider-Man.
Well, that's fun because it's fun to web sling.
Yeah,
in
the
that game.
traversal I guess fixes it, and well, we didn't know at the time, but in Assassin's Creed 2 it didn't bother me.
Well, again, that's because the parkour in that game is fun. It's actually
You're
fun
right.
to get to these
You're
towers.
right. You're correct. Far Cry 3 had
Far
a
Cry 3 has
good
it.
open world. I mean, that's really where
that's what started.
that's where
the
it
whole
started to
thing.
go downhill. But I think Far Cry 3 it didn't bother me as much. I was also younger, more dumb,
I think
so
the game really needs to
easier to please. I
have
guess.
an emphasis on the word open, and make me open-minded when I'm playing it. I think, and make me just want to just run around aimlessly to see what I can find, and give me like little hints and clues and stuff that I can kind of look at and say, oh, I want to go there. I want
So
to check that out. Elden Ring is an example.
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild is an example. The Witcher 3 is an example. I think all three of those games have like that kind of interaction where if you're just out and about in the world and you see something that catches your eye, you're going to go there, but not because the game is telling me to go there, but because it just interested me, so I want to check it out.
Okay.
See,
I think that's kind of how I feel about it.
I want the emphasis on it being open. I'm there, but I'm not all the way there because, excuse me. So like, most people know, like most of our friends know, wasn't really a big fan of how Breath of the Wild presented its gameplay, but to some, I didn't give the game a fair shot. I think I did. So, I wasn't really a big fan of the way they presented their open world. So, like how all the reasons Pat's like, oh, I like, here's these tools, here's a sandbox, go tell your own story. In some games I'm down for that. Like it's sort of like Elder Scrolls almost. Like, like the famous Skyrim line. You see that mountain over there? You can climb it. Like,
Yeah.
I like stuff like that.
By climbing, I mean spamming the jump button.
Yeah,
over
I
and
like
over.
stuff like that, but I also don't. So I like more focused open world. So stuff like I think The Witcher has a pretty good open world. Like it's big, it's vast, but I never felt overwhelmed. So that's my thing that I don't find like I don't want to feel overwhelmed in
Right.
your open world. Like I don't want to pull up the map when you unleash me into the game and see like 18,000 different things to go explore and do.
Well, that's another thing too. Like, I don't want that. Like I agree with that when you open up the map and there's like a shit ton of like markers and stuff to go to. Like, I don't like when games do that. Like, again, Ubisoft games do that, and I think Horizon Forbidden West had that too, where it's just the map is
Man,
just
that
filled
game.
with these icons. Whereas, like, I'm just gonna use Elden Ring because that's the best example, most recent example, where the map is completely empty, and you fill in those markers. You can fill in those markers yourself, or
Mhm.
there's the ones that the game actually gives you when you discover a place, and it just felt more organic than just plopping a bunch of markers on the map and then having to go there like a job, just
Right.
to visit.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
that's the
Not
first one.
Forbidden.
Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn is like the worst of all of the Ubisoft open world tropes, because it's all in there. Like people that are like, "Oh, this game is so groundbreaking. It's one of the best open world games ever made." Blah, 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 blah. Like, no,
Thank you.
it's not. It's not. It's
I never understood the hype for that
yeah.
game.
The only thing that's cool about Horizon Zero Dawn are the monster designs. That's
Yeah.
really it. So, that open world did not grab me, and it's filled with like really cheap crafting mechanics and stuff like that. So like, I mean, we've only talked about stuff we don't like. So something that I do like is I like an open world that has like lots of lore
Right.
behind it.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Like stuff that you can just like. I know we talked about this a week or two ago. You don't like how in Todd Howard Bethesda games that there's like just books. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Like
It's
I
weird 'cause,
like
like,
when you
I-
go into like a dungeon, for example, and there's like miscellaneous filters. One of the things I think that Bethesda does really well is fill out environments.
right.
So there'll be like a book there, and it'll give you lore on what's maybe possibly about the dungeon itself, or just like a piece of history of the world. And I like feeling the world when I'm playing. I think Elden Ring does a good job of this too. It's like
Yeah.
you feel the presence of the world. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So I like games that just give you like the immersion of being in it.
I don't know. It's just like it's hard to, like, when you're in a dungeon in like Elder Scrolls in like Skyrim or Fallout, I don't know, it's different with that because it's just harder for me to actually want to pick up a book, open it, and actually read through it.
Yeah, but you could just
Then it is where if
dump
I
it
just-
in your inventory and read it later.
That's true. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I can't really explain the difference between that and like a From Software game.
And
But-
it doesn't even have to be open world either. I just like game worlds that have like depth to them, like Mass Effect.
Right.
Like, just it's a linear action RPG. Well, the second two are action RPGs, but they're still linear. And there's like a breadth of content that you can just, if you're looking for find like lore and history, it's all there. Just by data pads and stuff like that. So I'm really down into that. And I also like, I don't mind the occasional collectible here and there. Like I think in Spider-Man, like how you were collecting old like Easter eggs to like Peter Parker's life before the events of the game.
Yeah.
Like you would find like a collectible and it would be like, oh, an Oscorp ID badge, and there would be a little bit of like backstory that Peter Parker would narrate.
Mm-hmm.
So that stuff was cool. And Assassin's Creed 2, collecting the feathers.
Yeah.
I
Like,
forgot about that.
Yeah, stuff that would like really like felt integrated into the world, and not just miscellaneous. Like, oh, go collect these 15 plants that are scattered around the world for no real reason.
I think Ghost of Tsushima is a perfect, excuse me, a good happy medium between those
Yeah.
two, like sides of the open
Mhm.
world.
I can absolutely agree. That's one of the only like few open world games I think I've like genuinely enjoyed.
It's also just a beautiful world too.
Yeah.
It cannot be stated how great the art direction in that game is.
Especially
And
after like the PS5 upgrades and everything too.
it looks like a PS5 game when you with the PS5 update. It like if you took me out of like a cryo sleep and they were like, here is the PS5 version of Ghost of Tsushima, but didn't tell me it was a PS4 game, I'd believe you.
Yeah.
I
get that.
believe you this was a full like PS5 game. And also everything about Ghost just is executed well on every level. The collectibles in Ghost are really great because
Mhm.
they power you up. So like these hot springs give you health, and they're always cool to find. The kami charms, the artifacts like the war monuments,
Yeah.
the duels, all that stuff affects you as the character. So it's like when you find it, you're like, oh, nice.
You have like the optional quests to go and like learn the ultimate techniques.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff is dope. Absolutely.
And there's like the stuff where you follow the bird or the fox, and it leads
Yeah,
you to like
the
a little
common
area.
charms, yeah. The thing I also like about an open world is you gotta have good side quests.
Yes.
Right.
You gotta have stuff that's interesting to find and do.
Even if it's not per se like a side quest.
Yeah.
It still has to be. There has to be something else you can do other than the main story in that world for an open
Yeah,
world
something
to
to
work.
keep. Yeah. So like in Ghost, I thought. Well, actually no. I think the best open world game, the best side quest content in any open world game I think I've played is either I want to say Witcher 3. I think everyone usually says that.
Every side quest in the game feels like a main quest. Like it
Yeah.
would be a main quest.
Yeah. Even like just the normal like the Witcher hunts when you're just hunting down a random monster, still
Yeah.
feel like this is supposed to be part of the main game.
Mhm.
And you get that same sense. Some people will say no, but you get the same feelings in Cyberpunk as well. The quest design is still great, you know. Character design and dialogue is still great. And then
Fair enough.
another big one I think we can all agree on is music. You gotta have good music in an open world game because you're gonna be doing a whole lot of riding around, like Red Dead. Red Dead has good ambient music.
One thing I will say about Breath of the Wild is that like its ambient music is very like
Ambient.
to the extreme. Like it's like, excuse me, like little like little small like melodies when you're walking like running around. It just I don't know. I don't really like the ambient music in Breath of the Wild.
Ooh, now that I said that, Red Dead 2 is another example of a good like immersive open world.
That's fair, yeah.
Like you really feel like when you're playing as Arthur, it's like all the things you can do. Because even the Red Dead has really good side quests.
Yeah. And the world feels
it
lived
feels
in.
yeah, and it's like even down to like the simple things like this fishing in that game are really rewarding. The hunting I think is really rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes the hunting mechanics in open world games can be hit or miss, and I feel like this one is pretty good.
Right.
Like I don't know why, but it's like some people say Red Dead 2 is too. It's more like an immersive sim than it is like an actual game.
Right.
Having to like clean your guns and possibly like Arthur Gaines and lose weight, shave his face, take a bath, like wash your horse or whatever. I like that kind of stuff. Like if it builds on the, no, I am this cowboy living out in this like, woods,
I
and
don't
then like
think I've ever cleaned my horse.
I was always brushing my horse. I had like the freshest horse in like the world.
The freshest horse known to man.
Yeah, and then back to the hunting real quick. I liked how like you would have to kill, like you make a kill, and I don't know if you ever did this, Pat, but you would have to like pick up the carcass and like carry it back to your horse.
Yeah, and then put it over the
and
horse.
and then put it over the horse, and then take it to a butcher to get skinned or skin it yourself. And it's just like the stuff like that just really helps me feel immersed in the game. And that's really what I'm looking for in an open world, I guess.
Right.
I can always appreciate like hunting and fishing mechanics in games.
Yeah, especially the Red Dead one was great. I wish they would just next gen that game. I mean, it doesn't need one, but it'd be nice.
I mean, it could use a 60 frames patch.
I'm gonna pause.
All right, so there might be a weird cut in there. It's because someone was knocking on Eric's door.
Oh my gosh. So, I go to check the door, by the way. During the pause, I decided to go check the door. And so, I never just straight up answer the door here, because I don't ever
Well, you
expect
should never
anybody to
just
knock
answer.
here.
Who just opens the door when someone's knocking? I always
Right. And, like, I didn't think anybody was coming over. I thought maybe it, for some reason, someone in the house DoorDash something, maybe, without saying anything. So, that was what that may have been. Maybe, so I peek up into, like, the little window above the door. And I see out the door, and it's two dudes I've never seen in my life. They're both short, by the way. Like, they're short. And they have like shortcut haircuts, like very nice prim, proper haircuts. They're dressed up in like white button-up shirts. They got ties on. And I was like, what is that? And then I took a closer look real quick. Luckily they didn't see me up there. They were looking downwards. But they straight up, in like their little like fancy shirt pockets, had mini Bibles. I could tell because it said like in the love of Jesus Christ or something like. It said something about Jesus Christ on there. I was like, holy crap! These are some like door to door like evangelical bullshits here. Christ, I am not about this. So I just straight up, like with them standing out there, I just locked the deadbolt and just walked away. And I guess as we were about to start recording again, they slipped something in the door. I kind of. If you guys want to keep talking about this for a second, I'll go see what was actually left in the door.
Go grab whatever that is.
Yeah,
but anyway,
but,
we were just talking
we were
about
talking about open worlds.
Red Dead 2. Jimbob, as a man who is not known for single player gaming, what is your thoughts?
So in my quest of getting into some single player games, I did play through Skyrim, but especially for single player games, I'm not an enjoyer of open world games. And in Skyrim, all I did was play through the main storyline for the most part and kill the dragon, and then that was it for me. I haven't played since.
You only played the main quest?
Yeah, I'm not really a open world enjoyer. I didn't feel any. I think for an open world for me, I would need like some kind of draw to actually do side quests. I didn't feel like any want or need to do anything like that.
Yeah, there really is. There's nothing in that game. I'm back, by the way.
Yeah.
There's nothing in that game that really like is like you should go do the side quests. It's just kind of like they're there.
I feel like the best thing is they shouldn't be like you need to do these side quests.
It should at least be like
it should never be
hey,
like you need to do them.
It should be at least like, hey, it'd be cool. But instead it's just like, oh, this is here.
Full
stop.
That's what I mean. Like Skyrim has a lot of like the same kind of gameplay, like immersion gameplay thing that people like about Breath of the Wild, where it's like you have to go find what to do.
Right,
so like
right.
a big part when I played Skyrim for the first time, it was a lot of like I love fantasy settings and I want to know more about this. So I was like walking around the woods all the time. Like I wasn't even really doing the main quest. I don't think I beat the main quest until I felt like, like I was done with the game. And then I was like, all right, now I'm gonna go finish the main story, because there's like that means you missed out on like the.
Oh yeah, I missed out on most
You
of
missed
the game.
out on probably like the Civil War arc.
Yeah.
You missed out on all like the Mage College quest line, the Thieves
Oh, yeah.
Guild, Dark Brotherhood, which is some of the Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim is dope. That blows my mind. Like those are like just as important quest lines as the main quest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's that one quest that starts like Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah,
I think
when
it's Dark Brotherhood. When you get like that letter from the courier,
It's like I know.
and it's like the handprint,
Yeah.
and it says "We know."
yeah, when you kill
then you're like-
kill an innocent.
Yeah, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
well, remember, there's another way you can start it too. Is when outside White Run, when you find the jester character
Yeah,
broken down on the side of the road, the cart with the like the Dark Brotherhood maiden dead mother in the back,
yeah.
and then you could kill him right there, and you would like skip
You would
the
skip that entire
entire
thing.
quest line.
I think that's kind of
Not to mention just there's the all the cities, like all the underground cities and stuff. That
Yep.
yo, Jimbob, my guy, that's like
I didn't feel any.
you're like speed running Skyrim.
I didn't feel any desire to do any of that, really.
That sounds like player error.
I guess it'd just be like that.
I guess I do.
Listen.
So like, what would you want the game to do? Like, what is gonna draw you to play us to explore?
More
like-
so like I'm not super sure. Like
What is another open world game that you've played?
you could say the Infinite
Baldur's-
Campaign,
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate.
That's open area. Side. There's a lot of stuff to find to do in that already.
Yeah, you could say Baldur's Gate.
See, but
3.
you love D&D.
I love D&D, and
So
I was just
you know all you know.
and I was exploring everything because I was
Yeah.
really interested.
Yeah.
Whereas Skyrim, I guess it just didn't hook me.
Hmm.
You know what I
I
mean?
guess that's just what it is.
But I also played it like 10 years after it came out. So, which I mean,
I think
people still are doing,
I-
but
Look, I'll be honest with you, gamers. When the newest edition came out, the anniversary edition,
Yeah.
I had yet to own Skyrim on my computer, so I bought it, and it was like super cheap. I picked it up. I still think Skyrim is fun. If you just looking to
I had fun.
pull up for like an hour, I just plugged in the Xbox One controller into the PC and just went at it. Best gamepad ever. Don't at me.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
So
Um,
Eric, how do you feel about open world?
I feel like Eric is gonna come at it from more of like an RPG like a strong RPG standpoint.
That is kind of where the majority of my open world stuff does come from. Yeah. Is RPGs. It's weird because like I haven't really once got outside like Ghost of Tsushima. There's not been too many open worlds I've really like.
Final Fantasy 14.
It's not even really. It's zones though. It's not an open world.
I don't know. I think I would.
It's not an open.
It's
world.
not an open world, but there's a lot of world there. You know what
Right,
I mean?
but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's also like you can't take an MMORPG and call it an open world
Sure.
game just because of the fact that like
Okay,
it
you're
operates differently
Yeah.
from another open world.
All
game.
right, so we won't count that.
Yeah, it's I just don't find the appeal too often for myself, which is why I haven't said a lot during this segment. They're just really not. I don't even know what it is. It's almost like it's. I guess I'll give the example I give every time I talk about a Bethesda game for me when it comes to like Fallout or Skyrim or any of those. I get really invested in them for like a week or two. I end up just completely getting lost due to my ADHD goblin brain, trying to find out what's in the world, find the funny weapons, find the side quests and stuff. I get so lost, and I'm like all the way across the map, and before I'm like, maybe I should get back to the main quest. And then I go look at where the main quest is, and I have no clue what was going on in the main quest anymore. I'm like, I think I'm just done with the game. I don't know what's going on anymore, and I would have to restart in order to actually realize what's going on at this point.
Yo, Fallout 4 sucked.
It kind of did. I enjoyed it at the time, but
hot
looking
take.
back on it, I can't go back and play it. I tried actually re-downloading it a couple weeks ago, and I just can't do it.
What they slipped through the door?
Oh, yeah, so I was laughing I was just absolutely like chuckling when I peeked through the door. It's a little card.
Oh,
On the back, you can immediately see.
I just gotta
Yeah. On the back of it, it straight up is a church, the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints. So that's who that was.
Okay.
And gosh, they need to choose a different URL, because our URL is comeuntoChrist.org /Jesus. Let's talk about that right off the bat. That's awful. And then, but on the front of the card, like, they were supposed to write something on the back of the card, obviously. There's lines to write something. They didn't even write anything. They just slipped it through the door. And I think that's what made it more funny when I flipped it over. It's just like picture of Jesus with like the biggest
That's not-
eyes I've ever seen.
That's Obi-Wan.
I've never understood the
I'll pass it
door-to-door
around real
Christ
quick.
salesman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very strange. I don't even know why they thought like I would answer the door. I'm not even gonna give them a chance to start talking to me. Like it's annoying. Why you do it? And it's a Saturday, dude.
Why does
Like
it look sad?
Yeah, Saturdays for the
It's
boys.
because we didn't
Yeah.
answer the door.
Yeah,
I mean, granted,
yeah. They gave you the
Jesus
sad
the boy,
card.
That's
but
true.
but I mean, I'm still not like trying to be doing this stuff on a Saturday. Like I'd be more understanding if they popped in on a Sunday or something, but a Saturday when it's raining out, by the way, it's been
Yeah.
pouring rain on and off all day.
You know, devotion is something.
I guess so.
Well, they're already dressed up to go to the Minions movie, so.
Oh,
true,
my,
there you
yo,
go.
yeah, they're about to go see the rise of Gru.
Hashtag Gentle Minions.
Yeah, they got bananas ready to go.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What the hell?
Yeah, that was wild. What a weird experience, especially in the middle of us recording the podcast.
Yeah.
Who would have ever guessed that something like that would happen? Oh,
So open worlds. Open worlds.
If you want to see the random picture of Jesus Christ I was handed, I am probably gonna post it on my socials, probably my Twitter. So I'll just go ahead and link that right now. Hit me at Welcoming Winter. That's going to be my Twitter handle. I'll post on my Twitter and be like, this was crazy.
And if you want to find more about about Eric, you can also go on the comeuntoChrist.org.
/ Jesus.
I will not be on that website. Thank you.
But make sure it's COME. Make sure you
Yeah.
don't put the other one in. You might get something else.
I'm gonna put the other one in.
All right. Anyway,
Let us know the results later,
Topic
Jimbob.
2.
so topic 2. Here we're entering the Final Fantasy XIV retrospective talk here. With I mean, Jimbob was not a part of playing 14, so
I
you
would
probably
not be
won't
talking a lot
have
here,
much to
unless
say
they have
here.
questions.
But yeah, so obviously Eric has a lot to talk about with 14 just throughout. I'm sure it's going to be an ongoing discussion that we have multiple times. But Pat and I just finished. We finished Realm Reborn a couple weeks ago, which is like the main game that you are going to play through first, and then the post game, which is like might as well be a whole nother damn game. And then we also just finished the first expansion,
Yeah.
Heavensward, and then we're about to enter the post game for that. Which, if you know anything about MMORPGs, those are just like tying up loose ends left over from the DLC that kind of segue into the next.
Yeah,
DLC,
the
so.
pattern for Final Fantasy XIV's post games are always the first couple patches of post game after an expansion are always let's tie some loose ends that we maybe left during the main campaign, and also like kind of like have a little bit of a filler arc normally, and then like the last two patches before the expansion drops are stuff that lead directly, like hinting towards what's coming in the next expansion, whether it be races, classes, storylines. They start hinting a lot of that stuff. So, yeah, it's definitely an interesting system, and I've always enjoyed it every time a new expansion's dropped. It always kind of gets you more. I think the way it definitely gets the players more hyped for the next upcoming expansion when you do it that way too. So I can't wait for you guys to actually like be caught up, and then you can experience that with me with the next expansion.
Would definitely be. I think would definitely be called back.
Oh, yeah.
The next real expansion.
You guys will
comes
probably
out.
be done with the game before the end of the year, honestly, if we can actually get
Yeah,
some more sessions in.
Yeah, the only thing that sucks about is that I don't want to play too far ahead without Pat on the main story, because obviously, I think the only thing that's really keeping us going into the story is that we're playing it together. Like,
Yeah,
we're
probably.
linked.
Yeah.
Um,
and to be honest, I don't even know if I would be far if I wasn't playing with someone.
Yeah, like, well, I'm at the point now where I can play the game solo. I feel like I can hop on and do my roulettes. PvP is fun. Always on the quest for drip. I have the itch to. I'm already about to. I think I'm gonna change my outfit for every like arc. Like,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna start looking to get new pieces of drip for the next expansion, which I do not know the name of.
But there is no name for it yet, so
No,
oh,
as
for
in
the next upcoming one for you guys.
we're gonna play
You guys will be coming to Stormblood.
Stormblood. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's just take it back to Realm Reborn. So I know Eric tried to get us to play. I know, well, me especially. Eric's been trying to get me to play Final Fantasy XIV for at least what feels like a decade. So
It's been at least since probably not so long after I got back from my basic training when I actually bought the game myself for PlayStation. And I was like, you guys gotta hop on. Especially, was probably more or less after the Paragon craze with all of us, where we all had PlayStation
Well, yeah.
4s. Finally, I was like, y'all need to hop on this.
And then we were playing Destiny a lot together all the time too. So
Yeah.
it was like just another game for us to try to hop on and play together. You were trying to get everybody in on.
Yeah, of course, the biggest deterrent in that always has to be the deterrent. Sadly, is people hear about the monthly subscription fee and they're like, "Man, I can't do that."
See, that wasn't really the biggest problem for me. My thing was like when it came to MMO. For one, this is 10 years of content that Pat and I are paying through, so it's daunting. Like, it's the scale of what we're paying through here is massive. Like, I think by the time we're done, this might be the longest video game I've ever played.
Probably, yeah.
Like, in terms of
Yeah, most time
hours.
I've ever put into one game.
Yeah, so it's a task, and some of it is that we're gonna get into. Not all that great so far. So some parts are rough,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and rough isn't just
Especially-
boring, you know. But
Yeah,
that just comes with the field, because this is my first true MMO.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time I try to get into one, I could never get in. This is the only one I've been able to stick with. I don't know what it is about it.
Yeah.
I just was just.
Well, we're gonna try to find out what it is now. So let's just start talking about Realm Reborn here. So yeah, Eric gets us into it. We just out of nowhere, you hit us up and you're like, all right, this is it. Here's the free trial. This is the best time to get in the game. There's no, as of right now, there's no inkling of when this next expansion is gonna come out. Besides, if you just try to follow our pattern.
Yeah.
So this is it. And then the PS5 patch is out.
The best time to get into it on
And
console.
not to mention the actual lack of games this year.
Yeah.
So we finally installed it. We hopped in.
And the newest expansion had just come out, which capped that whole like
Yeah,
10-year
Endwalker
storyline.
came out and ended it. And then honestly, I was catching FOMO, hearing about how Endwalker was so popular
Oh my gosh.
that
And
no
Walker
one could
popped
play the
off.
game.
Yeah.
Like the game was crashed.
They actually had to shut down the free trial for like 2 or 3 months just that way
Yeah.
the people who were paying to play the
And
game could
that's
actually
I
play
think
the
that's
game.
when you hit us up. You were like, when this comes back, you guys got to hop in on this. And I was
Yeah.
like, honestly, yeah, because if they're
Yeah.
shutting down servers because the game is so damn popular, I'm willing. I want to see what's going on here.
Right.
So we hop in. First class for me was the Lancer, which went to Dragoon, and then Pat was
Started off pugilist, and then
Yeah.
I went to monk.
Yeah.
And then when we got to Heavensward, you switched to Dark Knight.
Yeah, switched to Dark
So-
Knight.
We had to catch you up because Dark Knight starts at like level 30.
Yeah. So anyway, Realm Reborn, story wise, it was interesting. It kept me going. I think
I think it was interesting enough to keep my interest.
the word I want to use is archaic, but not like in a bad sense.
Yeah.
It's just old. You know what I mean? Old storytelling, old game design, but it's also an old game at this point.
Right.
So Realm Reborn I thought was pretty neat. The music, really good. Eric praises Soken.
Oh, Soken is one of my favorite what's the word I'm looking for now? Composers at this point. Like, he is so good at what he does. You can tell he took a lot of his time learning with Uematsu and
Mhm.
is almost, I hate to say it because I am an Uematsu believer as well, but I feel like he's transcended Uematsu already, and he's going to absolutely become one of the best composers in the music industry, like, especially with like him doing 16 now as well when that comes out. He's going to just continuously get better the longer he's on the 14 team. And he is going to probably become the best JRPG composer of all time.
Probably. So yeah, 14 also I've really only ever had experience with 7 and a little bit of 8 for Final Fantasy. And then so 14 was like my first look into this, like the high fantasy, old school Final Fantasy vibe that like the old games were about. So I found that really interesting. And I like the way the world's presented and all the mixture of ideas. And it's very clear some things are shout outs to the older games, which is really
There's a lot of
like
references to the older
links.
games.
Well, some games more than others,
Mhm.
some games less than others.
Yeah, I know. You're still sitting here like, where's all the 7
Where-
references at?
See, but now I'm in. So now that I'm here, hopefully we get 7 content. So
I could see with how big the 7 franchise is becoming nowadays. I could see them with the next expansion dropping all
7 is
content. in
7
it.
is its own beast from the main games now.
Yeah,
Basically, they view that as its own franchise,
absolutely.
just like they view 14 as its own franchise too. So anyway, yeah, Realm Reborn really sick. I think my review on Realm Reborn, like my score, with post game included, was a 7 out of 10.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
I think I gave the same.
the dungeons were great. All that was great. It's really just like that post game part. Yeesh.
Yeah,
And you're
that's the
telling
part
me,
that
and you're
hurts.
telling me it was longer.
It used to be longer. Yeah, for people who maybe played 14 since the beginning and remembers how long the base game and post game for Realm Reborn were. About a year ago or so, they cut like a good like third of the content of that out, like a lot of the fluff content. So now it's a lot more streamlined and easier for new players to really like kind of like get into at this point. And being able, I actually did make a new character to run through at least base game with Camryn and Pat, and that playing through base game with them and post game of Realm Reborn again, but like with the new content like reworks and stuff. Oh my gosh, it's so much quicker. We beat base game in like 28 hours or something like that,
Yeah.
which was unheard of. And then post game was probably about another 28, 30 hours or so.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
That was so hard to get through. Like I had to truly push myself through that
Yeah.
post game.
Luckily,
was
though,
so
Eric warned
sick.
us going in. Like, this is
Yeah.
it. Like, once you get past this, we're
Yeah.
entering gaming.
Yeah, everything else past like the Realm Reborn itself is like okay. But then you get into Realm Reborn post game, it's like you have to, anytime you have a new friend playing the game, you have to let them know. Man, look, this is the most boring part of Final Fantasy XIV. This is the roughest part to get through. You don't really get a lot of EXP from these quests, because originally they didn't think they were going to get an expansion, so there's no EXP you're getting. You're really not getting a lot of gold. There's really not a lot of incentive to push through here, except for to get to the next part. But if you get to the next part, if you make it to Heavensward, everything else from here is great.
Yeah. So, Heavensward.
Yeah, I mean, I like Heaven's Word felt. It didn't feel as long as Realm Reborn. It went by pretty quickly. We beat it in like 3 weeks, something like that. It felt like.
3 weeks, but it wasn't like we were consistently playing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
yeah, yeah.
Well, you have to realize you also
Yeah.
only have like 10 levels of content, because from there you play from level
Yeah.
50 to level 60, as to where with base game you play from level 1 to level 50.
Yeah.
So you had a lot less ground to cover technically with this.
And then I could definitely see an improvement of like storytelling in Heavensward.
Mm-hmm.
Some things I felt like the way like the arcs would come up in the story. Like we were joking by the end of the game. There's this part where Y'shtola, she is missing one of the scions, one of the big part like NPC party members.
Right.
Goes missing, and then there's a part in Heavensward where she comes back, but it just kind of like just pops up like, oh, now we gotta go get Y'shtola, and it completely, I feel like, derails the steam of the Ishgard storyline with the dragons.
Right.
And then she doesn't really do anything. So I don't know why we had to go get. I'm still like, I don't understand why we needed to go get Y'shtola.
It's more or less just getting one of your old party members back, basically.
Because she comes back and she's like, oh, I know who can help us, my old mentor.
That's about it. That's the only thing that really like.
And then you go to the old mentor and she's like, oh yeah, I can help you. It's
Yeah.
like,
It's just one of the things where you wouldn't have even gotten to meet Matoya without Y'shtola.
yeah, I guess
there.
without Y'shtola being there.
That's really what that comes
So,
down to.
besides that, though, I thought the story of Heavensward was really, really good. I wish I wanted to see Emmerich pop off.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is kind of a shame that Emmerich doesn't really get a pop off. If I remember right, like without spoiling too much, I think he does something pretty dope in the post game. And it's not like he just after Heavensward you never see him again. He does show up quite frequently.
Well, yeah, I would
afterward.
hope so. They joined the alliance. So.
Yeah. So Emmerich does have his moments where he shines throughout the rest of this game.
Okay.
I will say that. I'm not
Okay.
going to give any details on how or what he does, but he does have moments.
All right.
Granted, they're not as big as some like the Scions pop-off moments or even some other characters you meet later on.
Yeah, like Stankrid.
Yeah, but like you do end up actually getting some dope scenes with Emmerich.
My only complaint, I think, with Heavensward is by the end. Well, I kind of was looking back on the dungeons when we finished it last night. I didn't really enjoy any of the dungeons in Heavensward.
Yeah.
Besides the great library at the end with the really jazzy BGM.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love
And
that.
the final dungeon was pretty cool, I guess. But all in all, I felt the dungeons we did in Realm Reborn were more fun.
A lot of people. Heavensward definitely, that's probably the weakest point for them is the dungeon layout and dungeon content. They do get better again, and by better
and
again,
the
I mean,
trials weren't that good either.
yeah, that's probably my least favorite part. Like I at least can still say like dungeons are okay for me personally, but looking back on it now, I think the trials in Heavensward are probably the weakest.
Like the Bismarck fight was okay.
But even that, you're just sitting around for a
Yeah,
while,
it's just,
like waiting.
it's just a repeat of the one on the water
yeah,
from Realm Reborn.
the Leviathan
Yeah.
fight. Yeah,
It's just another one of that.
basically, yeah, you're waiting for a certain
And there was
mechanic to
no
pop.
because you faced Shiva in Realm Reborn, right?
The post game of Realm Reborn.
Yeah.
yes.
So I also was kind of we're talking about how good Soken is, but I didn't really feel like the boss themes this time around were like hidden.
And that's the thing. I as much as I love Soken, I will admit he doesn't really start popping off till like he has good music up
Yeah,
until
the music is good, but like
but he doesn't really
yeah.
start showing his like where he is now as a musician until you get to like post game Stormblood, or even I guess even during Stormblood there's some pretty good songs, but
So
he
is
really starts popping off when Shadowbringers hit. That's where he started becoming like this critically acclaimed like composer. Everyone's like, this music is crazy.
So he's like the main composer for 14.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
he completely writes almost everything for 14 at this point.
Okay. Because I was just noticing because on the credits yesterday, I saw Uematsu.
Yeah,
I think he wrote the main Heavensward theme.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Amatsu still drops tracks here and there, but he's a freelancer at this point. He doesn't
Yeah.
work with Square Enix directly anymore.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, he's been a freelancer for years now.
So yeah, the dungeon designs I thought were pretty weak. Heavensward though, I
The
enjoyed.
pacing on Heavensward was kind of weird too. Like
Yeah.
there was a part where yesterday, or was it yesterday or the last
Are you
time
talking
we
about the
played?
Yastrola part?
Yeah, I think you just.
Alright,
talked
I
about
brought that up.
Okay, sorry, I've been kind of out of something.
But I mean, yeah, you can go ahead. You can talk about what you're thinking.
Nah, I mean, just I enjoyed Heavensward. There was we haven't talked about Harshafont at all.
No.
Okay, that part was crazy because like we just sat down and played for that night, and the first mission we played that happened where he gets killed
Yeah.
by one of the knights.
One of the knights who, and surprise no one, ends up being a Knights of the Round. I thought that's where they are, right? That's
Yeah,
what
they're
supposed
the
to be.
Knights of the Round. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like when they formed in the Knights Around during the final fight with Thornton.
Yeah.
Thornton.
Yeah, I was like, that's Knights of the Round. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first like major death in the game for us, and it was, and then at the end when we finish, and then you're sitting outside of his grave.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh,
Well,
This
hold
hurts.
on. Not the first major death. Another character dies in Realm Reborn. The one chick that banks the crystals that can capture the Asians.
Yes. But
oh yeah.
I think a lot of people forget about her.
Yeah,
Moonbrida,
Urianje's babe.
Yeah.
yeah, but
Moonbrida.
Harshafont is
She got introduced very.
I
For
mean,
like
I'm
a
not saying
patch or
I'm not
two.
saying it's like the same level of
Yeah.
of Harshafont, but
I will say it does feel like for you guys, it does feel like they completely forget about her very quickly and move on with that. It comes back up. It does come back up later.
when we get the new Urianje's like, look what I find. When I found this is another one of the crystals, and you're like, okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, but I'm really interested in the big teaser at the end is the white robed Asian talking to the one of the warriors of darkness.
Right.
And I was like, okay, now I'm in on this. This is cool because I don't know if anyone that hasn't played 14, they only refer to the player character as the Warrior of Light,
Yeah.
which is a call out to the Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I guess they're teasing a Warrior of Darkness.
Of course, there's a Warrior of Darkness.
So I'm in on that. I love that kind of trope. So I'm all in. I'm interested to see where that goes. And there's also I don't know. I know one of the expansions coming up is like a pirate theme or something, right? Or like a boat theme.
There's a lot of sailing in Stormblood because you go to different continents outside of the Eorzean continent. Finally,
Is there a expansion where the Warrior of Light does a heel turn?
Somewhat, but not exact.
Okay.
It's weird. You'll see when you get there.
Is that in
Okay.
like Shadowbringers?
Yes.
I
Nice.
see.
That's the one I'm waiting. That's the one I'm most excited to play.
It's on like after playing everything, I will say, even though Endwalker was a good like ending to the current like arc of Final Fantasy XIV, Shadowbringers is the best expansion in the game's like lifetime. Still, the amount of story effort that went into that game, the amount of character developments that happened, the amount of just really dope fights and moments in that, and like even the
Cool.
post game for Shadowbringers, I think is actually what makes
That's
Shadowbringers
not
even better.
That's not the next one is Storm.
Stormblood. You have Stormblood, and then you get the
and
Shadowbringers.
and then Endwalker.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 left. That's at least probably 300
And
hours.
I'm already level 68.
So you're almost max level
So-
for Stormblood. Because Stormblood capped
I
at
need to.
70.
I need to. I've been once I did Lancer, did Dragoon, immediately switched to Samurai when I bought the game. So now I've just been leveling Samurai the entire time. Honestly, it might be time to start looking into another class.
Didn't you say you wanted to do Paladin?
I
Or-
did, and then we started playing PvP, and I was like, I really just would rather keep doing this than leveling a class.
Yeah.
So now, like, I'm at this point where I'm like, well, I'm almost level 70. Do I just keep leveling Samurai to 90 and just then start a new one? I don't know.
That's up to you at that point. So I will say, with that, Final Fantasy XIV does have this, what's called the Armory bonus. And that's if you have a max level character, you get a EXP bonus for the rest of your classes you try leveling up.
I see.
So technically, it's a good way to do it, but at the same time, you are super overleveled at this point. Maybe, since you guys own the full game...
Because it's not like I'm hitting content that's going to be leveling me quick
Yeah, so
without doing roulettes.
I'm trying to think. I think you might be able to pick up Gunbreaker at this point.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, you can pick
yeah,
up
I
Gunbreaker.
talked to a random MC that has the Gunbreaker quest line.
But I say, yeah, because the only level 60 classes you could pick up right now would be Gunbreaker or Dancer, and I know you're not going to want to play Dancer. So
No.
it's actually a really... it's a fun class, but aesthetically it is not your thing.
Yeah, Gunbreaker is an option that I've been looking at but that's another tank one.
That's another tank, so the only time you'd be able to really play
I
it
wouldn't be able to do that if
For
we
dungeons,
had,
at
yeah,
least.
for dungeons, yeah.
But you could play it for trials since there are like 2 tanks in trials, yeah. Or for raids. Speaking of which, we need to do the Heavensward raids. You guys haven't done those yet. The Void Arc raids.
No, but I did find before we got off last night, we found the elegant tombstone person for this one.
Okay, yeah, in Idyllshire.
Yeah.
Yeah, that drip is pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets every time you get to an end game place, the drip gets better. And
Yeah,
better
we
for the
need
most
to get
part.
you on PvP. That's where the real
Yeah.
drip is.
Well, didn't you say the Dark Knight one kind of ugly?
Well, no, there's one of them is, but at
There's
PvP
multiple
there's
things,
multiple sets.
Each expansion has their own
and of
sets.
course you can mix and match along
Yeah.
with a bunch of different armor sets to make a bunch of cool, dope stuff. So I'm sure, like, what expansion adds Samurai? Stormblood.
Stormblood.
I'm
So you're gonna see a lot
I'm
more
sure,
stuff for
I'm sure there's
Stormblood,
really
yeah.
dope Samurai stuff in there that I'm just kind of waiting to get to.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I'd honestly just keep playing Samurai.
Yeah, I think I might just keep playing that. Because I mean,
Fair enough.
I also just want to really get into like the rotation of that, because now I'm hitting these level of abilities that's just like I don't know what any of this shit means.
Right.
And then
Speaking of that, I still need to do my class quest. Since I'm,
I'm
level 60
getting
now.
to the point with Samurai now where I feel like there's almost too many commands that I have to put on the controller map.
There's
Like-
not. I can tell you right now that
It just feels like a lot. Like my
There
brain is
is.
trying to wrap around having to be like, all right, now I gotta switch to the other hotbar, and so
yeah. Luckily, though, it will never be more than
I
just
think
2 hot bars.
it might be
though.
time to do the
The thing that I have where you
the
can, like,
overlap.
yeah, the overlap where you
Yeah.
can like double tap and
Yeah.
you can. I can show you how to set that up later. But yeah, no, it's definitely.
That's another thing too about the game. Let's touch on. It's really well optimized for PlayStation.
Yeah, I think they went into it considering 11 was they went into that with the
That
mindset
might
of it
that
coming
might have
to.
been the key to their success. Honestly, just really making it so PlayStation like accessible.
It's funny though because the majority of players still do play on PC numbers wise. But I think
Yeah, but
having
I
a
think
good
having
console base
the
is
good
good though.
console port is there's always going to be looking. People are always looking for MMOs on console,
Mm-hmm.
and there really isn't one that's successful to the degree of 14. Like, name another one. I'll wait.
Yeah, there hasn't been. That's the thing.
There's the really shitty D&D ones.
Yeah.
Star Trek Online's on console, but I think most people play that on PC, and that game's dying anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Warframe, which kind of like an
I guess.
Warframe is kind of popular.
Do you this isn't about 14, but this is about MMO. Do you
Okay.
think World of Warcraft would be successful on the console?
It depends on how they do it. I think it's
Because that game has a lot of shit going on. With
I
like,
don't-
and it's not like it was designed to be on console with the way the abilities
I
and
think
the
there's
layout
just
would be.
so many abilities you would have to see like shift through. I think it only really works on keyboard. I'm sure they could find a way to make it work on controller, but I would be absolutely shocked to see it like work well on controller. I think it would work, but I don't think it would work well. It'd be like what we have with Final Fantasy 14, where you bind things to certain buttons, but you would be shifting through a lot
Yeah,
more
there would be a lot
optional
going on there.
hotbars. Yeah, it would be a lot to have to deal with.
Yeah. It would be. I'd probably check it out.
I think I'd try it.
I'd probably check it out for sure.
And once again, I think I think we've talked about before, the only way I think WoW would work on console would be now that it's owned by Xbox technically, or it's about to be owned by Xbox because the deal hasn't been officially signed through yet. I think putting it on Xbox Game Pass, because I don't think anybody would really buy into it on console at this point.
Do you think they're gonna put some type of WoW on with PC Game Pass?
They might do that. That'd be a smart move, I think, to get more people
Yeah.
back into it. Be like, hey, if you have Game Pass, you can just
you get
come play
all
WoW.
the
Yeah.
expansions free.
Just come play
All
WoW
of it.
at that point.
Yeah.
I might even peek back in to see what it's looking like at that
I'd
point.
check it out.
Yeah.
Jimbob, comment on 14? Final Fantasy 14?
I've never played I slightly played through Final Fantasy VII Remake.
And by slightly, he means he'd show up.
I took the sticks
Took
sometimes.
the sticks for the boss fights.
The motorcycle ride, I did that one.
Are you talking about 7 remake?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
part's sick.
That's everything I know about Final Fantasy. So
Fair.
Well, 7's a good one that they only know about, so. What do you mean? What do you mean eyebrow raise?
I mean, I liked it. I liked watching you guys play it. So
No, 14 is it's pretty fun. There's definitely some lulls throughout the.
Well, yeah, it is an MMO
It
at
is
the end of the
yeah,
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why. That's why I
Like,
don't
it's
really
hard.
like
It's hard to be like, man, I really don't like the quest where it's like, oh, you go here, talk to this person, come back, turn it, go here, talk to this person.
Yeah.
It's like at the end of the day, it's an MMORPG, so they have to have padding baked in.
Yeah.
Even though Pat and I share the same hatred for padding in video games, it's just like, that's what makes it a slog. But I know it's leading up to like another big boss fight, another big story reveal, another, whatever dungeon raid.
Yeah.
And honestly, I still find the combat fun even now, even if it's still just engaging. It's complex, but still, like, I can turn my brain off at the same time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not having to try hard if I was playing Halo Infinite. I'm not like sweating bullets trying to get like kills or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, my family tried to get me into MMOs multiple times growing up. Guild Wars 2, Perfect World. I just never really enjoyed
Perfect
it.
World. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah, I just never really enjoyed it growing up. So
I liked, out of all the ones you listed, Guild Wars 1 was a big one for me growing up. My dad played it and I
Guild
played
Wars
it.
2 was pretty big.
Guild Wars 2
It
was.
was.
I think Guild Wars 2 was pretty big because it was free to play. Outside
it?
of that, I didn't. Well, it went free to play after a
Oh,
little
okay.
while. Yeah, after like the first year, they were like, "We're not getting as many sales as we do on Guild Wars 1. Let's just make it. You don't have to buy the game anymore, but you have to buy like the expansions and stuff."
What about Dragon Ball?
I don't know about that one. I don't think that's anything for me personally.
yeah, and I've never played World of Warcraft. My brothers multiple times tried to get me to play, but I just never.
What about
downloaded it.
Warcraft or World?
What?
Ever played that one?
Warcraft of World of Tanks? No, I've never played that.
I hate World
Yo.
of Tanks. Fuck that game. That game sucks.
Zane's about to be in our DMs.
Yo, I remember when World of Tanks came out, and Pat and I hopped on there, and it was just like, you want to talk about immediate bullage. Pat would his tank would peek out just a little bit, and it'd be like the whole map would just light his ass up.
I will admit, I hate that game because I'm bad at it. That game is trash.
It'd be like that. Man, oh man, World of Tanks, huh?
Did you ever play like War Thunder? Like the
I have a friend currently online that I'm really close with who plays War Thunder. Like that's like his game to go to at this point, and he
Ugh.
really enjoys it. He does really enjoy it. I've been interested in trying it, but I'm just not into like those kinds of games personally. So
Jimbob's over here making hand signals. He's making jutsu signs.
Sick. But
So yeah, 14. It's pretty good. I wish I would have got into it all those years ago, like when Eric was telling me to.
So the post game stuff, like that's over a period of just however long it takes for the next expansion.
yeah, normally I'll explain it in the terms of like how it's currently working, because it's basically worked about the same the whole time through. They normally release about like 5 major patches after, like there's mini patches that like fix stuff in the game or do balances for PvP or other stuff like that. But there's 5 major patches: your 0.1, your 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, and 0.5, and then there's like a half patch with 5 that comes out later, that finishes like the last bit of story for the post game, the 0.55 patch.
Gotcha.
That will finish everything before you go into the next expansion. It normally comes out like a couple months before the next expansion drops. So basically, they normally space them out every couple months. You get like another major expansion or major patch. Sorry. So like right now with the Endwalker patches, they're going a little slower than usual because they have a lot to work up to for the next expansion, including
Graphics
like the
update, let's
graphical
go.
overhaul. Yeah. So like we got 6.1 probably near the beginning of the year. It was probably like February or March, I think. And we're just now getting 6.2 in August. So they're taking a little bit longer with these. So I think we might... That's why I'm saying I don't think we see the next full expansion for Final Fantasy XIV until probably like maybe 2024 at this point.
Holy shit.
Yeah, just because they're taking their time with these, but once again, it's because they're working on a lot of other stuff,
Yeah,
and
at the
the team
same-
is also working on 16. Maybe we see it speed up after 16 releases.
It's strange that at the same time, 14 is the most popular it's ever been.
Yeah, it's just because even
they-
if you are caught up on the game, there's
Yeah.
probably a lot of stuff you haven't done in the older content yet.
Sure, but at the same time, I feel like from a publisher standpoint, you gotta be thinking to yourself, well, we gotta strike while the iron's hot. But on the other hand, they've been doing a slow burn for 14 this whole, for the last 10 years. Why speed up now and possibly to ruin
That's the
the
thing.
quality of the game?
They don't want to ruin the quality of anything that's going on at the moment, and they
Yeah.
are giving us a lot
They
of
don't want
side stuff
burnout,
to do,
I guess.
honestly. So it's like even though the patches are taking longer, they are giving us more in these patches than we have gotten in previous patches from like other expansions.
And they're also starting from scratch with their new set of stories.
And that's kind of what they're already setting up with these like current patches. Like 6.1 started up a look into what the next bit of the story is probably going to
Is it
be.
exciting?
From what I've seen so far, I'm excited. I can't tell yet though if it's just like a filler arc before we get to the next expansion that's just going to take up all 5 of these major patches, or if it's going to actually carry over into the next. We'll talk more on that when we get to there. When you guys actually catch up, probably by like closer to the end of the year. We'll probably talk about the catch-up point, and we'll discuss that a lot more of whether we think these patches are going to carry over into the next, or if it's just a major filler arc before the next expansion.
Hopefully, within a year, a year from now, July next year, hopefully a year from now, we're playing 16.
It won't be an exact year from now, probably.
I thought
It's
July? Come on.
It's next year.
Summer 2023 is when 16 is coming out. So
Oh, that's right. They did say they
yeah,
did confirm
it's
it's
either
summer.
June,
Yeah.
July. I'm calling either late June or late July. So we'll have a lot of fun things.
I guess
to
we
talk
will,
about. We'll have a
yeah.
Crisis Core to talk about. Final Fantasy is gonna be.
We'll probably have a lot more news on
Jimbob needs to
Rebirth.
get on the Final Fantasy train. He needs to play one.
Yeah, I suppose so.
He's not. He's not.
well-
He's not.
Down the road. Maybe in a year. We'll see.
Eventually, maybe we can talk Jimbob into joining us on 14. Have a full 4-party
I
stack
don't-
going.
I don't think Jimbob would enjoy playing 14.
I mean, once again, it's the
It
boys.
is. It is big chillin' though.
It's big chill and it's the boys 4-party stack.
There was one time I was falling asleep while playing a dungeon.
I was about to just say, if I were to start, how long would it take me to quote unquote catch up?
To like these two, or in general,
And to these two.
we could realistically, if we play a couple times
the
a
only
week.
thing that stopped Pat and I from why it's taken us a long time to get to Heavensward is because we only play when both of us have time to play the main story. So, for example, I feel like if we were playing separately, I probably would be at least either halfway through the next expansion or done.
Yeah.
And,
I say Camryn probably would have powered through the game.
Yeah,
honestly.
I might have be done the main story. By the
and
game.
it's crossplay, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Between
okay.
PC and
Yeah.
PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just buy a PS4.
And I mean, the free trial does
well,
carry you through Heavensward, so we could always, like...
It is free.
I'm not saying we got to start this
It's
anytime
always
soon,
it's always
but...
worth a checkout. I mean, I don't know. You might enjoy it because it is a lot of just big chill on the keyboard, just pressing keys.
What are those starter
vibing.
classes?
Eric,
Okay, I
Eric-
got you.
Eric,
I got you.
Yeah, let's run this down.
Okay, so of course your classes are kind of separated to 3 base roles, with DPS being split into 3 different roles. There's physical DPS, magical DPS, and ranged DPS. So you got your tanks, your DPS, and your healers. So right off the bat, I'll hit you with the tanks because starting off, there's only 2 you can choose from.
Hold on. What do these 2 play?
Right now, Pat's currently playing a tank, although they both started as DPSs. And Camryn's also looking at probably picking up a tank on the side.
I currently play as a physical DPS.
And I will also stay
samurai
here,
edgelord.
since we probably have not explained this very well to you. You can truly just have one character through the entire game because at any given point, you can swap to any other class you want. Your level is based on your class's level, not your character level. So you can play everything.
Okay, I was gonna ask that about you.
Yeah,
guys,
like so, like
I'm switching
for
classes.
example,
and
like
everything.
I have a level 68, 69 character with
Samurai.
with samurai, but when I switch to dragoon, I'm only level
50.
like 50. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can
so I would
truly
have-
play every single class in the game at any time you want.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so starting classes once again, there's 2 tanks you can start with, either Gladiator or Marauder. Gladiator's sword and shield. Marauder's a axe. They both class up into Gladiator becoming Paladin and Marauder becoming Warrior. All the starting classes have class ups basically into like the advanced version of their class around level 30.
I'm in.
Okay,
Let's go.
DPS wise, you got Lancer, which turns into Dragoon at level 30. It's a physical DPS. You have
They use a spear and they jump around.
Honestly,
Okay.
probably gonna do the mage DPS.
okay, so that's already you got 2 options starting off with that. You have two options starting off with that. If you're interested in that, I can just skip right over to those. You've got Thaumaturge, which eventually turns into Black Mage at level 30. Regarded as one of the most difficult classes to play just because you have casting times. So if you get stuck in an AoE, you have to kind of like either just soak it up or you gotta quit your cast and run out of it. I just recently got Black Mage to level 90, and I will say it's currently my favorite class to play, actually. It's a lot of fun. They've reworked it a little bit to where it's a little bit more mobile now, and there's a lot of ways to not have to worry about stuff.
He couldn't play red mage, could he?
If he ended up liking the game enough, he could swap over to it because it is a Stormblood class. Yes. But yeah, the other starting class that you can get is you start off as an Arcanist, which they use like a tome generically, and they summon a little carbuncle as like a pet thing. So they command their carbuncle to do certain attacks. But the thing with that
Not
is
doing that one.
the reason I'm saying that one is they class up into either Summoner, which is a magical DPS, or Scholar. They get both options. Scholar's a healer. But Summoner's dope because it's the most mobile of all 3 of the magic classes, because you can literally cast while you're moving. Because you don't have cast times. Instead of outside of like one phase, you have a couple cast times. So it's a very mobile magic user. And basically you get the dope summons of like Ifrit, Garuda, and Titan are your main 3 rotation, and then you eventually get Bahamut and Phoenix as like off rotation summons that do a bunch of damage.
I think just from what I know about Jimbob's interest, I think he would also like red mage.
I think he probably would. Red Mage is a very interesting. They're a jack of all trades class. So
It's
if you
sword and
if you did like the game enough to get into the full game, when you unlock the full game, you get at level 50, you can go pick up Red Mage.
And how much is the full game?
You can normally get it if you get all expansions in the complete collection at the moment. It's like 60.
I
But-
got it on sale, right?
But it goes on sale like every few
Yeah.
months or so.
I got
So
everything for like $42.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's,
not like
it's basically normal game buy-in, but then there's also the subscription that you have to do monthly, or whatever you decide.
how much is the subscription?
Whatever you decide to pay
the
for.
base subscription, like the cheapest one, which is just you can only ever have like I think it's like 8 characters in
Yeah.
total, which once again you would never need that many. Is $13 a month. I think it's like $12.99 or
I
something
think
like
it's
that.
cheaper than that.
It might be, but
I think it's only 10.
it's not that cheap. I remember it's
I
only,
don't know.
I remember it's like
It's-
something weird like
It's
12 or
definitely
13.
not. It's below 15.
Yeah,
I can tell you that.
which is
Okay.
what WoW's subscription
Yeah.
fee is as well. And then there's like the full subscription, which is 15, but that's like 8 characters per server, which is like why?
And is the free to play subscription based?
No,
Okay.
No, the free to play is you download the game.
So it's
Make an account.
fully free for like 100 hours.
it's fully.
Yeah.
It's not even timed. So
Plus.
basically,
No. Like I meant like
Yeah.
100 hours of gameplay. Basically.
yes,
And then after you do buy the full game, then it's subscription based.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
But that comes with when you buy the game. That's coming with all of the expansions.
Yeah.
And then once you get to the level requirements, all of the classes.
And just as a heads up, since these guys are going to experience getting into a new expansion for the first time, when it does eventually come out in the next year or two, it's normally about $40 for the next expansion,
Right. Well, yeah.
which includes all, of course, the
Oh, yeah.
patch content and stuff as it comes out. Yeah.
Honestly, now that we're sitting here talking about it, I might do Red Mage.
Red Mage is so. Let me
I
explain that a little bit more.
watching you play Red Mage, I was like, that looks kind of sick.
So Red Mage is interesting. They're a mix between canonically in Final Fantasy, Red Mages can use both white magic and black magic, being
Mhm.
your destruction and your healing magics. But white magic also has certain elemental phases to it, like they get earth and wind on Red Mage. So Red Mage can you bounce back between black magic and white magic casts to build up like this meter, basically. And once you have so much in each meter between white magic and black magic, you can use your sword skills that you already generically have, and you can enhance them with magical damage so they get even stronger. So you have a up close attack phase with your magical burst attacks. Then you have your background like casting phase. And once you get to higher levels of Red Mage, you also get a healing skill and a resurrection skill as well. So you're kind of like the all jack of all trades with outside of being a tank. There's nothing you can do about being a tank.
There's also, Eric hasn't mentioned yet, there's the subconscious drip level.
Red Mage has some pretty good drip.
that you have to be on. And you feel it immediately when you log into like Limsa, which is like the big main hub of the world.
Well, it's the
one-
most popular
the most
one.
popular like
Yeah.
town. And you see everyone's just dripped out of their minds with really dope outfits, and you see yourself in your starting gear, and you're like,
Fuck.
man.
And I think that's actually the concept of the game I think Jimbob enjoyed the most is it's the most social MMO there is out
It
there.
is.
Okay.
There's a lot of talking. You meet a lot of cool people. I've met a lot of friends through Final Fantasy 14. Of course, that comes with some weirdos as well as always.
Eric
but-
has had the keyboard warrior
Do you think-
some people away.
yeah.
Do you think that's where the guy that was sending dick pics to God of War came from?
Oh,
Maybe.
he's most definitely one of them deviants to hang out in the
in like the
in
famous
in
ERP
in
server.
the ERP servers.
Jesus. Well, you've convinced me to try
I think it's
MMOs
worth
again.
I think it's
Yeah,
worth
give it a
checking
shot.
out. I mean,
It's free.
even
And
What
once
am I
again-
losing?
Yeah.
And once again, the best part about that too is like they explained, even if not all of us are on, one of us could still be on to help you through the story at any given time to catch you up too. So
Yeah,
we could probably
all-
get
all
you through
would-
it a
all
lot
would-
quicker than we
yeah.
did with these two.
And then just to like as like a also it I think subconsciously what I also like about the game is it feels about like I'm playing through someone's like D&D game. Like
It's-
just like the way the world's presented, like it feels like I'm going through some high fantasy like adventure.
Yeah, if you choose to do some of the
So-
side quests in the game, there's a lot of hidden lore there that's like really dope.
I'm
So
down. I'm down.
yeah, it's definitely
To the
worth
point
checking
where like they have these books that came out in Japan years ago and they're about to re-release them here in America this year called the Encyclopedia Eorzea. There's 2 volumes of these heavy hard cover books. I have both of them pre-ordered. I will. That's how much I like the lore. Is I'm about to read the extra
help him.
lore.
Please help him.
All right.
That the chuckle of a madman who knows.
Anyways, yeah, no, 14's dope. I do suggest anybody who is looking for something to play at this point, if you
Yeah.
have a PlayStation 4 or 5 or just a PC and you have nothing you're really looking at right
Used
now.
to be PS3.
Used to be PS3. They did cut that so that way they wouldn't be
Yeah,
limited.
they were
Thank
getting
goodness.
shackled.
Yeah, which
Imagine if they were still making content for PS3.
which I assume at some point with
If
this
the game-
graphical update they're going to do it to PS4 as well.
I
Well-
cannot wait for the graphic update.
Yeah,
The
from what
game
they've
already
shown-
looks amazing.
Yeah.
For an MMO, yeah. it
Yeah,
looks
we did
really
catch our
nice.
first frame drops in one of the fields though.
Oh, did you?
The place before Idleshire,
Oh yeah.
where it's like nothing but grass
Yeah.
and like the textures are just like running at. The game runs at a good 60 on PS5,
Oh, absolutely.
and we were dropping down to like 30.
That area's just huge, and there's a lot of stuff.
That's
going
why I
on
was.
in
That's
that
why I was
area.
telling Pat. I was like, it's
Yeah.
probably because it's so big. There's no real line of sight blockers for the game to render things out, and there's all this grass around here. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So Final Fantasy 14, pretty dope.
Yeah.
I'll let all the non-MMO enjoyers, whether a fellow non-MMO enjoyer likes it. So
Would
We'll see if we can
would,
make Jimbob a believer or
Would
not.
Jimbob the game be an MMO?
no,
It's single player for sure.
Oh, that's right. It's a narrative over the shoulder.
Single player narrative driven.
Yeah.
Neil Druckmann produced.
and it's definitely got like a multiplayer mode where it's just Bullage.
Nice.
Bullage the game.
Yeah, no.
Alright.
So I think it's gonna be an interesting experience to see
Yeah.
if how far we can get Jimbob through the game, or if he can even. I think the best result would be he joins us for the long run, and we have a full four-person squad rolling into the next expansion. I think that'd be kind of cool.
That would be neat.
That would be neat.
Yeah, but we'll see.
We'll
We'll
see.
see.
We'll see.
We'll let you know next week.
Yeah. Oh, we're trying it
Next-
this week,
oh.
huh?
Jimbob's like, I'll have the
Well,
game.
not next
I'll-
week actually.
I will
the
have.
week after.
I will have.
Oh yeah, I
the
was about
game.
to say because you two won't be.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
so
we will not be.
I guess
here
that's
next
a good
week.
time to jump into our outro here. Next week, Camryn and Jimbob will be preoccupied. So it'll be me and Pat. We may or may not ask a guest or two on. We haven't decided yet. We're going to talk that over probably after we finish recording.
For sure.
Like most things.
Yeah.
We'll
So
see if we can
yeah,
get
for the
someone
first
on.
time, Jimbob and I would be the ones listening in, judging
Definitely judging.
right now.
Cool. Thank you.
Anyway, yeah. So
I don't think there's a lot to plug
yeah,
today.
there's no real plugging. Like like Eric said last week, Saturday night, Sunday morning at the latest, if anything comes up, like the power going out last week.
Yeah.
So
Just definitely on the weekends. When
yeah,
they'll be
it's
coming
on the
out.
weekends.
It will be up
it's
sometime
ready
over the
for, it's,
weekend,
it's
yeah.
ready for work commutes on Monday. But anyway, yeah. So since I won't be here next week, enjoy listening to whoever they get on the podcast.
Well, whoever they do have on, if they have someone on, it'll definitely be interesting. I know you guys already had an idea, possibly. So
we have a couple, yeah.
see how it goes. And if it is just you two, I'm really looking forward to that.
What's that supposed to mean?
Anyway,
Anyways.
bye.
Okay, thanks. Stay gaming.
Stay gaming.
Stay gaming.